This channel is proudly partnered with the What the Funk shop. Please check out their store for all sorts of products. They have miniatures, dice, Game Master screens, home decorations, and many other things. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment, and make sure that you use my code for a special discount. They currently have a Halloween sale going. Hi, this is my review of Soul Cemetery. It is so challenging for me to do this review because this is almost a flawed masterpiece. The atmosphere, the ambience produced by this story-driven solo game, there are some moments of magnificence, but there are also some flawed moments, but we will get to that later on in the review. Now let's talk about the quality of the PDF. When you purchase Soul Cemetery, you have two files, the single-page version of the file and the 2 pages spread version. You also have a complete soundtrack, and the soundtrack is really good. I don't know if the designer, the one who wrote this game, was the composer of the music or if it's royalty-free music, but it's really good. It is quite scary, disturbing, magical in a dark way. There are some really freaky pieces or tracks in this soundtrack. Now, when it comes to the graphic design, it is spot on for the most part. It represents that PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, GameCube era of horror video games with some low polygon type of illustrations, and the book also reads like a game manual. Now, a couple of criticisms. One is just minor. There are no bookmarks and no hyperlinks. So if you want to pause the game, so to speak, if you want to play this a bit and then you quit because you have to do something, you have to work or whatever, bookmarks would have been handy in order to get to the spot where you left off, but it's only 24 pages long, so like I said, it's just like a nitpick. The other criticism is that there are parts in the document that contain a few typos or errors, not many of them. But something that I really like of the graphic design and the illustrations is that they represent that video game experience so well, and there are some Easter eggs or funny things if you read the warnings, that those sections that you never read in the video game instruction manuals or booklets. You have a lot of funny things, and I am going to be avoiding spoilers throughout this entire review, so I hope you will enjoy those funny moments as well. Overall, the quality is quite magnificent despite those flaws. Now let's talk about the contents. You start playing this game the moment you read it. The moment you read the cover, the warnings that I mentioned, you are already playing the game. So I actually finished this in one go. I was just like, oh well, I'm going to page through the document to see what it's all about. I ended up playing and finishing the entire thing from start to finish. So what's this about? Without spoiling things, you play as a female character that comes back home. It's a homecoming story. It is quite nostalgic. Perhaps there is a bit of tragedy hidden behind it all. You never have like the full story of what is going on, but there is some sadness, some nostalgia. You get back home, and as the female character, you turn on one of your old horror games. And that's when things become quite surreal, because things that happen in the game, they leak out a bit into reality, into the fictional reality. So there are two layers. You are playing as a female character that is playing another female character in a video game. And so you take off. There are some light moments of roleplay, but this is mostly on rails. This is reading through the story, and you have some prompts. Sometimes the prompts ask you questions. What did you find in this place? What do you fear about this thing? And you need to either choose from a number of options or give your own answer. And I think that's part of the flaw in this game. When you are given options, there aren't too many of them, and therefore replayability is reduced. And when it comes to open questions, a lot of them are good because they are general questions. They tell you things such as, what did you see when you opened this door? Because this is a storytelling game, you're telling a story to yourself and letting this story guide you. but in other instances they get to some very specific things. Just to give you an example without spoiling things, this is not something that appears in the book, it's something that I came up with right now. Let's say that the game asks you, how did you feel the first time you decided to go skiing? But you see, there aren't too many people that have experienced what skiing is all about. So for them, that question is going to fall flat. There are only 2 or even 3 instances, I think, where those questions or prompts become that specific, but the rest of them are really good. There are also some light comedic moments. This is not just about horror, although those horror moments really feel creepy. Some of them, because of the way that the document is written, you really get into the mindset of the character, at least as far as the storytelling game is concerned. Now, although you have the different tracks of music, the original soundtrack for this game, so to speak, you don't have indications on when you should play a particular track. And it is obvious that some of those tracks are tied to various scenes during this game. And I would have preferred that if there was some sort of indication telling you, play track number 4 for this scene, or play track 7, etc. So you have to more or less guess when you can play a certain track to enhance the mood. Another thing that I didn't like was the main antagonist, the big bad in this game. The name given to that sort of being is not that evocative, and it's not that horrifying. A better name, a more nightmarish or disturbing name, should have been given to it, in my opinion. Later on, you can actually rename that entity, but you have already been influenced by its original name, so I think that's a bit harmful or hampering for the sense of horror that this game is trying to represent. Now, what do I think of the entire experience? Because if I tell you more, I am going to be giving out a lot of spoilers. I think it's a flawed masterpiece. There are some moments that are pretty brilliant, but there are some other moments that I have mentioned that really pull you away from the experience because you think, oh, well, that's a question or a prompt that I would never consider because I have simply never gone through that situation, or oh, now I know the name of this entity and it's not really that scary. But when it comes to the humor is always there, and it works in great harmony with those creepy, horrifying moments. I recommend that you play this game in a dimly lit room and you really imagine yourself in those creepy moments with the soundtrack. Try to find the right track that you find most disturbing for those creepy moments, and you're going to feel that sense of... It's like when I played Silent Hill 1 for the first time in the darkness of my room or something like that. I think it's also much better if you have that nostalgia. If you are one of those that have played PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, GameCube era video games when they first appeared, even if you play retro games, if you played them when that dark and magical atmosphere was first introduced to gaming, I think you will enjoy it more. But from the mindset of someone perhaps of a younger generation, of a newer generation, do not let my opinion keep you from enjoying this game. So overall, I recommend it with those caveats. It's definitely not for everyone, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I always had those moments of, if only this thing was handled a bit different, or if only this or that. That's why I consider Soul Cemetery a bit of a flawed masterpiece. But definitely give it a try. I think the replayability is also quite limited because of what I have mentioned of the prompts and the questions, the options not being enough. But for that single experience, I think it is worth it, and you already have the soundtrack, the complete soundtrack, to use in your tabletop RPGs, board games, or when you are reading some scary books or whatever. Definitely consider that. Thank you for watching this review. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member and enjoying exclusive tabletop RPG tips. You can also use the super thanks button and check out the pinned comment below. This has been Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. I am currently unavailable for professional sessions, but I will put my contact information in the description and in the pinned comment for when I am available again. And remember, roleplay solves everything. Once again, thank you and see you later.